everybody, welcome to Simply Scuba. Today's Saturday Surfers Interval is sponsored by the extreme sports magazine Mpora, but more about Emporer later. So in today's Saturday Surfers Interval, I'm going to be talking about diving in the UK. Now, I love scuba diving in the UK, but when you mention it to some of the surface dwellers or warm water divers, they'll often react like you've told them to jump in a septic tank. Oh, but isn't it dark and isn't cold and there's just nothing to see down there, surely? Well, no. First of all, if it's cold, dark and empty, then you're probably diving in the wrong place. There is plenty to see, and I've seen some amazing visibility in our waters, and if you're ever cold on a dive, then really that's your fault for not wearing enough exposure protection. Now, I learnt to dive here in the UK, and I taught other scuba divers to dive here in the UK, and sure, it's not for everybody, and I'm not expecting you all to just drop what you're doing and walk into the nearest body of water, but it is definitely worth considering diving at home. And let's face it, you've clicked on this video, so that's the first step to thinking about diving in the UK. So let's all talk about some serious, well, sort of serious reasons why you should dive at home here in the UK. The first thing is that the money that you spend travelling abroad goes to the fat cat that owns the airline and the economy of the country that you're travelling to. Now, I know it's a fairly Brexity thing to say, and that's not really how I kind of intend it, but it is good to support our local dive centres and dive charters. Paying for dive trips and buying dive gear from local dive centres directly supports our dive industry here in the UK and the people that work here. Without that, the dive centres struggle to survive and they end up closing. So then there's less places that can take you diving, less places for you to get dive equipment and air fills, and there's less places to teach other people to scuba dive. If we can make diving at home a bigger industry and get more divers in our waters, in a weird way, it'll be better for the environment. One of the largest sectors of local diving is ghost gear recovery. Statistics are now showing that divers who continue to dive at home tend to keep diving to help recover ghost gear. That's one of the main reasons why they continue to scuba dive. So joining a team who go out, survey their local shoreline and help to clean it up. Because nobody else is going to. Realistically, there's no like huge government scheme sending out divers and people to collect ghost gear. If you're the ones doing it, then yeah, you're sort of looking after your local environment, you're buying new equipment, and that is in turn supporting your local dive centre as well, because at the moment, they need all the help they can get. One thing that I've only ever seen here in the UK, and granted, me personally, I'm a fairly small sample size, I'm sure these probably exist in other countries, but here in the UK, we have boats with actual lifts. So an electric platform that you stand on and it literally elevates you out of the water and then level with the deck. So you can literally just walk out of the water onto your dive boat. We obviously have small ribs as well and sort of shore dives, but like other countries obviously, but I've only ever seen this style of boat exit here in our British waters, and when you're wearing twins, it's a very civilized way to get in and out of the water from a relatively small boat. A lot of our dive boats are converted fishing vessels. They're pretty small, the day boats that is, but they have everything that you need. But most importantly, that lift. At the end of the dive, you swim up to the back of the boat and then you stand on this metal mesh platform, you grab onto the rails and then you look up. The boat skipper, who's on the deck of the boat, he just pushes a button and then it lifts the platform. You don't need to take any kit off or exert any real effort really. The only thing is you have to put your feet down and then just kind of stand there and then walk back to the bench. After you've dried yourself off, you'll usually be given a hot tea, a coffee or a hot chocolate, and in my experience a Cornish pasty as well, which is a great way to end a dive. Today's Saturday Surface Interval is produced in association with the extreme sports magazine Mpora. So Emporer is an online magazine that is all about inspiring adventure. Whether your adventure takes you sliding around on snowy mountains, pulling yourself up a rock climbing wall, riding your bike through wooded trails, surfing barrels down at the beach, and yes, of course, exploring the underwater world, Emporer is a website that has got you covered. Emporer features all sorts of interviews or industry-leading professionals and brands, previews of upcoming events, reviews of the latest equipment, the latest news, and just everything that you can possibly need to keep yourself clued up. Emporer has got the lot, so check them out after this. British marine life is different to tropical waters, but there is still plenty to see. You just need to look for different things, really. I mean, we have everything from tiny little nudibranchs to huge basking sharks. We actually have coral reefs here in the UK, but most people, they never believe it. They just can't understand that coral can survive outside of the tropics. But we have some amazingly colourful marine life and beautiful soft corals and sponges to look at. The animals are a bit more fun too. Most fish and things in the tropics just tend to do their fishy thing, and then they just swim away from you when you get a little bit too close. But the crabs and the lobsters and things over here, they have some real character. You get a little bit too close to them and they'll tell you. I mean, my favourite, there always is going to be the seals. They are so graceful and so much fun to play with. They actually come up to you, unlike other animal species that just swim away from scuba divers. The seals actively swim towards you because they're curious. Just remember that they are wild animals and their teeth are made for chomping, but really, it's the only place where a wild animal has ever just come up to complete strangers and started playing and coming back for a scratch. I mean, my dogs don't always do that when we take them down to the dog park, but these seals do. It's a darn sight easier to get to a dive site in your home country. You don't need to pack light or pay for extra baggage allowance when you're driving your own car, and you never need to worry about passports or visas or airport baggage handlers. Have I got my yellow fever vaccination or anything? Exchanging currency as well. You don't have to worry about any of that. And if the weather suddenly changes and calls your dive off, you can just resort to an inland dive site. We have plenty of amazing diving lakes inland with things to see and things to do underwater. They are dotted all over the country. I mean, I've done entire dive trips with friends traveling across the country, just visiting different diving lakes. No shore dives, nothing in salt water, just inland freshwater lakes. I mean, they'll have cars and buses and things under the water, and they'll have a cafe like 20 feet from the water to rehydrate. But one of the best things about diving at home is that at the end of the day, you can go back to your own home with your own shower and your own bed, and you can do your own thing. You can wash your gear down properly and then store it away nicely because you have a space for it. But if you're diving at home, you can also bring all of your own gear. You're never going to have to rent anything because, yeah, I always get a little bit annoyed if I have to shell out a bit of money for something that I actually already own. It's only, I should have brought it, but now I'm going to have to rent it because I didn't expect to be doing this. So yeah, you can bring your own gear and you know exactly how it works. You don't have this new thing that kind of does the job, but you don't really know how it works or what it's trying to tell you. And you can customize your own gear so that it works nice and smoothly. So yeah, it's just so much nicer if you can use your own stuff. The United Kingdom has been fairly active on the seven seas over the past few centuries. Probably you've heard of us. And there have been lots of ships and boats around our waters because we are an island, so the only way to get here previously was by boat. But boats do have a knack of sinking from time to time, and they then become shipwrecks. Unlike fish that swim around and can be fairly hard to find, shipwrecks don't tend to move around once they've sunk, so they're pretty easy to find, and we have a whole bunch of just amazing shipwrecks to explore in our waters, and most of them are just incredible to look at. Shipwrecks are also social hubs for marine life, so they're a great place to see both amazing shipwrecks and amazing wildlife all in one spot. Exploring shipwrecks underwater is just an amazing experience. If you've already done it, you'll already know this. You're diving through history and you're seeing things firsthand that very few people ever do. So it's just amazing to physically go back and often see things in a slightly different light. If you're sort of walking around on a boat that's still floating, yeah, it's kind of a boat, but if it's kind of sunk and it's kind of listing over to one side, it makes everything a little bit different. And then of course you get the marine life that's growing on it as well. So yeah, if you're into your wrecks, then British waters are definitely one of the places to go. So maybe look into diving here in the UK. I mean, I promise you, it isn't all as bad as so many people tend to think it is. Sure, there are some dull places to go diving, but you shouldn't really be diving there anyway because it's dull. But anyway, let me know what you love about diving here in the UK to try and help convince others to at least try it out, because it really isn't as bad as a lot of people think. Thank you for watching, everybody, and of course, safe diving.